Imperative. Okay, come on. That cannot be a word. Seriously, that is no. I refuse to believe in it. Imprimatura, plural, s. A thin preliminary glaze applied to the ground in a painting. Can you spell it? Imprimatura. Imprimatura. That is correct. Your next word is spackle. 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 Very good. See, told you that weird definition spell bee joke would come back. Do they even have names? You're the one writing this joke. You should be able to figure it out. I'll come up. I'll come up with some jokes about their names and stuff later. It's a trick Twilight could not do. Could not or would not. That's why she was convinced that Cardboard Cutout could do. The Cardboard Cutout disagreed. It's not power, she reminded the unicorn. It's control, Cardboard Cutout. That's all it is. That's all it is. You just have to push a little off to one side or the other and keep it there. The others were watching from a small distance. What Noriko had assured them was a typically safety zone for a spell, which generally had no means of going wrong in a bad way. But she had been with Twilight for all her school years, and seen too many students fumble things, which should have been completely harmless, and a very keen marker sense just in case. I'm going to smack you again for ever harming the CNC, considering how much you like to abuse them, you childhood abusing Vic. They were all still in the cave. Rainbow's lecture had wrapped up, and it was still early to move out into their laying positions. Although some part of Twilight did realize that there was a degree of luck pushing into progress. But there was still an hour when the ponies were out about, which meant she probably wouldn't be. Twilight had needed something to pass the time, which wasn't obsessing about what might happen at the meeting, as he had promised Cardboard Cutout classes of more advanced magic. Didn't we establish in season 1 about the whole entire spells only designated to their cutie mark thing? Cardboard Cutout said, brow furrowing, then visibly forced back. Couldn't chance wrinkles after all. It's a test, Cardboard Cutout, Twilight explained. At least in part. She knew what Cardboard Cutout's school field dexterity scores had been, although she was still insisting to herself that snipping hadn't been any part of it. It was stalking, totally different. And what Rainbow Dash had explained made her think about those numbers might have gone up over the years through constant exercises with the moving contents within a globe-filled shop. There would be proof of it, if it worked. A sign where she could take Cardboard Cutter's studies in the future. And it does have a use. Trixie would love this one. No, Trixie would not! Cardboard Cutout just got cut out, managing to keep her tone polite. Barely. As far as the danger was concerned, there was a pony who she might forgive, eventually. And Emo Pinky's soft muttering chorused those feelings. Not that I don't know of. Maybe not even with. Stop! Well, hey, the Fic told me to stop. Cardboard Cutout visibly redoubled her efforts, her corona staying at a tense primary level, but was sweat and host scraping against the cave floor increased. So focused on her attempt to actually not be thinking about any residual dirt. Noriko's eyes went wide, every bit as large as Twilight's. Her exhaled words came out before hers could, with her sister getting caught in shock and delight, her own voice reflecting all of it and throwing it in triumph for the pony she believed in second most. Kasumi? Hey, Cardboard Cutout, you're doing it! She blinked, Full eyeglasses beating and partying again, but she did not stop concentrating. Twilight continued to stare. It was happening. It was actually happening. Can you split your focus a little? Grab something and bring it closer? Cardboard cutouts feel reached forward and piled surrounded a pillow. Applebot instinctively moved more into the defensive stance and brought it to view. The glow surrounding it wasn't a soft blue. It was more of a blue-green, almost like satin match for Fluttershy's eyes. You're chasing your signature, Rarity, a cardboard cutout. Twilight breathed, a trick she normally couldn't do. It was happening right in front of her. I had one teacher who could manage this. Keep pushing a little further in that direction. Oh, wait, is this supposed to be just an explanation for why Season 1 had, different color images and Season 2 did not? Can nothing stay diegetic with this person? Cardboard cutout continued to concentrate. The blue-green slowly lost its aqua tones. Its aqua bats, however, were very good. Moved to a more verdant shade. I don't understand, Ethelbot softly said. I've never seen any pony do this. From what Twilight said, I know it's hard, but that unicorn really needs to cut it off and join the Earth Pony Master race. Sing, heil, Deutschland, über alles in the Welt. Pinky, are we sure this thing's gonna be working fine through the rest of the fic? I don't know. I'll give me an eye, but you can't be too sure. Just, get a mecha ready. Already on it. Think of how Trixie operates, Twilight said, too distracted by Rarity's achievement for a whole lecture. Confident the farmer could work it out for herself from a hint or two. Also caught up, and not feeling a tiny piece of her own burden right away. At least helping a friend. Well, she might use it for, Rarity. I want you to practice this whenever you have some spare time. This also works as a pure field reinforcement and make everything that comes much easier. Smiling. Any cardboard cutout? I never want to hear you say you aren't capable of anything ever again. Cardboard cutout grumbled. And then Twilight was by the pond. And then Twilight was a zombie. She had learned to ignore the sound of rushing and splashing water during her time in the cave. Mostly because there was that little tiny bit of the monster showing up. Roggle! Ah, somebody help me. It wasn't working for the cold. A freeze is coming. A chill was seen to radiate from the liquid and cancel the effects of the warm night. You could always put out a fire. A trick for a Pegasi to move enough heat in or out to stay comfortable in nearly any environment. That's something she could do. And even if it was something within Frenzel reach, flight would have to come first. There had been science tins insistent on that. Oh no! I have to be taught by my best friend! How horrible! I'm going to have to learn! Why would Twilight be afraid of learning a lesson? No. Vic, I still don't get this. Why would Twilight be afraid of learning from Rainbow Dash? What? Does he think all this would come instinctively? This is Twilight Sparkle we're talking about. She would be jumping at the chance to learn from Rainbow. Rainbow Dash had already made the planned move, taking a few techniques out of her personal arsenal. The clouds over the falls, whoosh, had been cleared away, allowing the waxing moon to light up the area, with a little bit of candle wax, too. That side effect had been a problem in itself. Her friends had simply had concealed themselves all over the area. Those hiding places had taken more than a little consideration to begin with. Must not think of possible Yuri shenanigans! Although Twilight expected to avoid one, the extra illumination, complete with minions, hadn't helped. Still, they seemed to have managed the job. At least Twilight couldn't see anything from her own spot. Twilight had been waiting for the water for what felt like hours. It was getting late. It had to be midnight or close to the other side of it. Noriko brought an emergency yellow diamond. They infected him like coffee. I don't know why. Twilight hoped she would drink her coffee from Starbucks instead of falling asleep. They didn't need that noise right now. Of course, Twilight, seeing the pool of water, decided to splash in. Decided to caress her long mane, run her hose down her body, and then yow! Just couldn't hold it in, could you? Trixie knew you wouldn't make it. It's a pool. There's a mare. Work with me, Trixie. I was still trying to figure out what she was going to say. What she could say. How to keep focus on her. The adventure she had with her friends and sibling had taught her something about bluffing and making up stories in a hurry. But she was no expert at running the long con or keeping a conversation fully steered to one side. At some point, the visitor was going to ask her questions, answers to questions Twilight wished she wouldn't ask at all. I was trying not to blame Pinky for. Answers Twilight didn't have. It was like this. I got hit by several beams from the elements. They sent me to a place that was like to be between while simultaneously knowing nothing like it whatsoever. Got to the princess, a little burst of energy came out of me, split up into pieces, then started swirling around me while I levitated, and I'm completely sure I wasn't controlling that last part. Then I was back at Ponyfield, had wings, and my life started to seriously go downhill from there. Oh no! Now you're not just the most powerful unicorn, actually. What you are is now one of the most magically gifted alicorns with a tree berry. Yes, your life went downhill while still having a nice house and being a magically gifted pony with unbelievable magical power. But your life still went downhill because you had privileges. But your life still started going downhill because you lost all your friends, which are still there. But your life started going downhill because of mild inconveniences that the author threw in just to make us go, yeah, Twilight's life was pain. I'm with Lily Clara. The reason why this is happening is because the writer willed it. The writer's making this happen. It's not a natural effect. It's just because the writer did it. No, just no. And Twilight couldn't keep to talk focus as he became upset. It was the cold coming out the nearby water which made her leaves not to shake. Twilight kept trying to tell her that it wasn't working. Her hyper-attenuated senses picked up the sounds of breaking twigs, tiny pieces of wood cracking under an approaching hose. Twilight turned slightly, and there was a kitty cat! If it was her, then they actually got lucky. She would be coming in on an angle that didn't come near any of the hiding places. Twilight believed to avoid the path of coming through the trees. She came by land at all. And the land approach meant that she was within Pegasus' part of her cycle at all, or just far into for fancy flight. There were several options for disaster, and added others. Possibly not on Pegasus right now, but that leaves two options, and one of them is a new car! She stepped out for the trees and came to the light under the moon. Over Twilight, the worst case scenario was a mere 14 body lengths away. It was without scrape and dulcet had said. The blue which had been in her mane and tail was now in her coat. The tan had gone to places where the blue had fled, and densely manifested in her eyes, and the horn a deep purple, reaching towards black. Unicorn. Oh no. Here I am, the most powerful unicorn's spellcaster ever. Twilight thought about it, done everything she could to plan for this. But ultimately, having her come in this part of the cycle meant only one thing. She had no idea what could happen. 2 months of one for raw power might be behind it. She forced herself to breathe. Sorry, Twilight, you forgot to breathe again! She risked closing her eyes for a moment in order to better focus and gather her own strength. Then ordered herself to do what she told her friends to avoid at all costs. Look directly at the visitor's mark. And the cardboard cutout had been right. The gold loop was closest to the top, but not all the way there, and there was still some distance to go. Similarly, the silver had not reached the ascent point. Visibly, in that portion of the cycle, getting closer to the heart of it, the brief moment completely transformed, but not quite yet, was meant to see a tidiness. Seeming sure to arrive, she was strong. The longer she stayed, the stronger she might become. When the silver reached the middle of the curve, and once the loop was fully pointing towards the sky, it made it a little easier to look for the mark this time. Experience embracing severing their polars, but it was still experience the sake of burdened mind, and the knowledge trying again brought no comfort. She's not stupid. A moron, but not stupid. Can't risk thinking of her that way. Her words came out in broken sentences because it's so painful for her to talk. Don't fall into the trap thinking it represents a mind that can't communicate any other way. I don't know how smart she really is, but she's not stupid. And the instant I start seeing her that way, I've lost. And she's so tall! It's so regal. And oh my god, her knockers are huge! I mean, those are really good for knocking on doors. And not only are her knockers huge, but she's got a pair of huge tits with her. Those birdies are adorable! One more? One more. And look at those blue-footed boobies next to her. They are so adorable. Careful, Twilight. They're sensitive. I can't believe Legendbringer rang us into doing this joke. Yeah, I think he's running out of ideas for gags on this one. Twilight, maybe you shouldn't complain about Legendbringer's jokes. What? I'm only saying what he's probably scared of. He's probably running out of a few gags. I mean, what is he going to do to me? Make me a kitty cat for the rest of the scene? Full accurate height comparison had been hard for the middle dust level, but yes, just about Luna's size. Having to look up again wasn't helping. The unicorn tried closer. The kitty cat focused, watching the horn. She had told every pony else to do the same this happened. They were all ready. The way to fight against the wild zone. Ah, dang, hit my brain! And how to inflict it. They were not to attack at the first sign of any smell. Might take the food for Twilight and run for her. But open a little distance along the pond's edge. It looked like it was about to fight start. All of them had the same instruction. Go for the horn. Make hard contact. Cure wounds. I keep making it. If he only had a restraint, I should have checked Clyde's armory. Meow, 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 She would be beautiful. Somehow that hurt her as the only inability to evoke her own face. Ching, she said. 3 body lengths away now. Ching, a deeper moan. Ching. Somehow, the kitty advanced a nod. She nodded towards the supplies. Ching, the unicorn said. Then leave it at that. Ching. The kitty blinked. All right, I'll think you learned your lesson. I'll change you to something else. Or you. Oh no. Ching. The unicorn snapped. Ching. 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 She thought of something Lucy hadn't even begun to consider. It came from a plan that wasn't part of any checklist. No, she wasn't stupid. In this case, the intelligence could work against them, because she would not think of things the bears had considered, but imagine fears which hadn't existed and probably reacted to them. Meow, 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 chee, chee. anger in her voice. But her little cute ears remained unlit. Her eyes. Mew, mew. Lucy was starting to wonder how much more of her soul these souls he could take. Trixie's wondering how long you can keep this Lucy and she talking to each other joke going. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If this keeps up, it's going to wind up being. I'm going to end up adding Plu from Brave Master to this group. Mew. Lucy made herself say, couldn't add any longer. Mew. Was meant for the time, for the first question of her own. Just for one that was haunting her. Mew. She blinked. See? Later, Lucy would think about the expression she saw then. It would revisit it too many times under sun and moon. See it during dark times when the nights came. It was not a look of anger. No, confusion. If Lucy had asked a question which had no meaning, no point ever had even thought of, something so instinctive that not even a newborn foal would search for a response. The question was answered simply by the act of existing. Ching! Came the answer. It wasn't a voice of protest or fury that Lucy would try to get something which would identify her. Simply a response to a question that was too basic to ask. The blink was harder. Mew. Mew. Was this a lie Lucy felt that she was getting away with? Mew. She looked more confused than ever. Gee. Very nearly the bleakest of informal humor. Mew. Trying from another angle. Mew. Or rather, what name had they addressed her by before her humor came and sent her to a life of agonizing isolation, or somehow worse? Ching! It seemed there was a bare second that was about to give a response. Shook her head. Ching! Mew! Mew! Was Guardian expressed it so much to suggest that Lucy's brain had momentarily ceased all function, as she readily stated before writing the words down and having Noriko mail it to the princess, for eventually filing with the Cantalon archives in the new wing for the occasion. Ching! Right. But Twilight couldn't make herself drop it just yet. She needed to identify this point in some way, create a tiny bit of horror. To name something was to remove it from the realm of completely unknown, to give it limits, just a little. And Lucy was desperate for even the smallest step in that direction. Mew! Anger, the horn stayed dark, the field denying night, but the sheer force of words harder than anywhere else. Ching! 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 The burst sent Twilight staggering back a step. Mind reeling, oozes began to throw her, and hooked right to the wire. Lucy yelped at the cold, jumped forward, nearly stumbled on the landing. Chi's anger advanced. She snickered. Chi? She asked. It snickered the second time. No malice in it, just pain. Even that seemed somewhat lessened for the tiny duration of sound. Chi! Slowly, fold your legs as each moment might break them. The unicorn sank down to rest in the grass. Her front hostess barely touching the border of pebbles. Her left front leg came up for a moment. The hoe touched the area below her neck, pushed right, and went back down. Twilight carefully moved. Can you believe we're 16 chapters in on this 58 chapter fic? I know! The pebbles weren't too comfortable under her body, and well, otherwise things took priority. Mew, she told the nameless unicorn. Mew, mew, chee, chee. A tiny head shake. Clary had thoughts of trying to pass pain. Chee, 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 chee. And Twilight knew and Lucy realized there was no cure. She wanted to cry, but held back from it. Mew, chee. The unicorn barely managed. She was never truly still. Little twistless, moderate spasms. Chee, 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 chee. Lucy marshaled herself and found a few bits of strength elsewhere. Mew, mew. The unicorn nodded to that, and her horn seemed to lengthen more. Lucy forced herself not to check on where the silver was. Mew, mew. A swallow screamed. The unicorn forced it back. Well, it says twisting and not a question. Chee! Mew. Chee! Came the simple answer, mostly. Chee! Lucy shoved the horse back again, made of shine and take numbers. Mew. Chee! Mew, mew. Chee! Mew. And then Lucy tossed the lies away. Mew. Mew, 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 mew. The unicorn blinked twice. No anger, just confusion. Chee! 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 She slowly started to stand up. Lucy shoved herself off the pebbles, scrambled to get back on her hose. Mew! The girl's words began to emerge, and Lucy saw the silver that was the most outermost of the curve. The gold loop at the absolute peak. Chee! Okay, I'll put Twilight back to normal. Thank you! Oh, did you remember to fix the unicorn? Maybe. Meanwhile, Epstein and Dr. Jackson are having a conversation about Twilight.